Shopping is hard, right? But I found a better way. Stitch Fix online personal styling makes it easy. I just give my stylist my size, style, and budget preferences. I order boxes when I want and how I want. No subscription required. And he sends just for me pieces, plus outfit recommendations and styling tips. I keep what works and send back the rest. It's so easy. Make style easy. Get started today at stitchfix.com/Spotify. That's stitchfix.com/Spotify.
The rural way of life is about making everyone feel at home. Tractor Supply chose advanced 5G solutions from T-Mobile for Business to transform intelligent customer service. Together, we put the power of AI to work across 2,200 stores, keeping things running seamlessly inside, curbside, and countryside. This is elevated customer experience. This is Tractor Supply with T-Mobile for Business. Take your business further at T-Mobile.com/now.
Hello, you're listening to Me and Paranormal You with your host, Ryan Singer. Because it's more fun to believe. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another experience of Me and Paranormal You. This is your buddy, Ryan Singer. I am joined today by my friend and yours of UOR Investigations, Greg Feinman of Fits, Friends in the Sky documentary, which we've been detailing the unfolding of this paranormal investigation that started with cattle mutilations for how many years now? 4 years?
Going on 5.
Going on 5 years. Wow.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
I cannot believe it's been that long since we started telling this story. So you started sharing the story of the investigation that had already been going on. Welcome to the show, buddy. Good to have you back.
Oh, it's always good to be back, Brian. Always good to be back.
We've got an exciting thing to promote.
Yes, we do.
June 11th, baby. Here we go.
Yeah. June 11th. Friends in the Sky premieres at the Basari Theater in Trinidad, Colorado. June 11th at 6 p.m. And we're doing it in Trinidad because that's where it was filmed. And I wanted to do that for the people of Trinidad, let them go to a premiere or something that, has worldwide ramifications, the message and everything. And so it's just good for everyone to, and we're basically just trying to get this movie out, but starting by doing premieres. And I'd like to do one in Pueblo after this one to see how it goes. But I'm excited about it, man. I'm sure everyone is. I think you are. I think Dan is. Dan's really excited. He can't wait, And so yeah, it's surreal, that this little over 5 years ago, 6 years ago, it was longer than that. It's been about 7 or 8 that I started on it. It was just an idea. And, to get Mama Sue out to the site of a cattle mutilation was just an experiment. It could have, we could have rolled snake eyes when we went out there and got nothing, and I didn't know I was filming a documentary at the time I was filming it. The reason I had all the cameras was to document and back up all my findings on my written reports. That's what the videos were for. But once we started getting what we were getting and the message that we were getting, what's going to be happening here soon, and what we need to do to help ourselves out of it, once we got all that information, we had to put it out somehow. And it was a slow process trying to tell people, hey, I got, trying to call producers and, just telling them, hey, this is what I got. I've already got all the footage. What we need to do is put it together. And it was hard. It was very difficult doing that until we got Ed and you and Dan and everyone. We worked as a team, and you, most of all, did most of the heavy work, by doing the editing. I watched that documentary, and I can tell for sure that you watched a lot of footage. All right.
All right. People have heard me talk about that. And well, first of all, I think I would argue that meticulously filming everything on the way out with dashboard cams, dual angle, road and inside cab of various vehicles that weren't destroyed along the way because of the investigation,
Yeah.
setting up cameras, body camera footage, et cetera, et cetera. I say that is the heavy lifting of, you created the puzzle. I was just trying to piece it together best we could. And for the record, for people listening, and I really truly believe anyone listening to this will at some point, they will see the documentary for sure. There's been a couple friends of mine and of yours that have seen advanced screening of it. We've kind of sent them a link right along the way, just to get feedback. And there's already a second one that's being put together that you're working on right now. But I mean, it's bonkers how much footage there is, yes. But I think the heavy lifting was done in meticulously filming it all. And like you said, not understanding it wasn't being filmed with the intention of being a documentary. And having said that, I think people will understand this when they see the documentary. This is what I'm excited about. I
Yeah.
believe that this documentary in the paranormal space is different than any documentary people have, or film that people have seen about an investigation, because it is essentially just evidential footage that has been compiled into a narrative, as opposed to setting out to film a movie about something. Because even a documentary is a movie that the filmmakers have to make choices. What is the story? And we could have told a couple different stories inside this documentary, depending on how we edited it, right? And I think it needs to be said too that there's so much that did not make this documentary that is bonkers. And
Yeah.
I mean, we have footage. You have dash cam footage and body cam footage of the tragic horse accident that is unexplainable, that wild horses just or these horses escape and are just running across the street at the moment you're coming back, after you've been told, or Mama Sue has received a message that your vehicle that there will be interference in your investigation. You've got that footage with the police there, and the tragedy with the horse that ran out and unfortunately was not able to survive the collision, and neither was your Jeep Cherokee. And that's just one of the things that didn't make it, let alone all the crazy stuff that was happening when we were out there during the investigation. The whole team was out there, and none of
Yeah.
that footage is even in there either.
No.
Because it was just so much. Because we originally wanted to do 6-hour-long episodes as a kind of a web series. We decided to condense that down to one film.
Yeah. Yeah. It it's a lot of work.
It's a lot to swallow. It's a lot to wrap your mind around. And even without the extra, all the other stuff footage in there. I mean, because at one point I think I thought to myself in the early process of this is going to be a 4-hour movie, and there's just no way around it. This is the way I'm like, this is like in the very early stages. I'm like, there is no way for me to get this under 4 hours.
Yeah.
And we're at about an hour and 45, and I think that's absolutely as short as it could possibly be, without people being like, what is happening in this there, without some kind of story structure happening.
Yeah. Because it's a paranormal salad, just like, and it's got to be told in a certain way, or it's just going to be a bunch of lettuce and tomatoes and everything all stuck and you're like, well, what do I eat first?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just
Now there is footage that's not in the documentary, that will be probably in the part 2 on the UOR Investigations YouTube page. And so I'd recommend, if people are curious about some of this stuff, like I think even the dash cam footage of the accident with the horse on that crazy event, I believe that's over there on the YouTube, right?
yeah, yeah. And what you'll see, what you'll notice is that and this is one of the things that was crazy about the accident, is if you look, my headlights, they stopped shining right where the horses were. Like it was dark. and my lights should have like continued on, and it was dark up until the last like split second that I saw that horse, before I hit it. And that's the only time, that's when I saw the horse, was right when I paused the video, which is like inches from my vehicle. And the horses' heads were down, like being led. Their heads were down. And like I said, my headlights did not penetrate the darkness where they were at. That's why I didn't see them. My headlights should have continued on where I should have saw the cow or the horses, but that didn't happen. It's just
Now, this is a phenomena that is, and this is an extreme case of it. I should say that for everybody listening. This is an extreme case of the malfunction phenomena, which I don't know. I guess we'll call it the malfunction phenomena. Like technology fails, equipment, electrical wiring, like anything that has some kind of electrical component to it. Doing paranormal investigations will either just shut off, the batteries will be drained, or won't turn on, or just stops working for some reason. We could argue, I guess it sounds like by what you're saying, that we could throw your headlights on your vehicle into that realm of mechanical malfunction or paranormal, like technology malfunction, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I would say, because they didn't function, I don't know what to say about it.
They didn't function as expected.
Yeah.
For sure. That's what we can say about that. It is, it's a lot. I mean, you've had multiple issues with the vehicles, kind of just like once in a lifetime kind of things that'll happen, whether it's the stick penetrating through the grill and
that there caused my engine to finally, it ended up blowing a head gasket, and it would have cost more to replace the engine than it would have been to fix it. And I traded it off for another vehicle, and then that vehicle became a headache. And I just went and I bought this 2011 Jeep Grand Cherokee. I wanted another Jeep, and I put a lot of money into it, and a lot of money into it, and to keep it running is my bread and butter, really. And I'm stuck on Jeeps. I really
you are
am.
stuck on Jeeps. You're a Jeep. You are a Jeep guy. I got it. And to be clear, people are like, well, why do you need a Jeep? It's, well, you need a 4-wheel drive vehicle to continue this investigation.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You're in an area of the country where there's often snow and very hilly inclines, declines, all these kinds of things. So it behooves a person to have, a car that can handle off terrain, 4-wheel drive, and also less than ideal driving conditions.
Yeah, it's definitely not the salt flats, out there on the ranch. I mean, it's there's a lot of bumps that, a lot of holes, in the field that just drop down, and that's one of the reasons why the first part of the investigation, the cows were in a part of the property I couldn't get to. Like, you can't even drive a vehicle out there. And one of the cows was killed, was mutilated. A UBD happened while they were on that section where you can't even get a vehicle out there too.
And UBD is unusual bovine death. That's the one of the acronyms that Greg will use to identify, just in case this is the first time you're hearing anything about Mutilation Ranch and the investigation about cattle mutilation, 16 cattle mutilations out at Tom Miller's ranch. And so it's inaccessible unless you've got one of those, I guess, even like those 4-wheel drive little cart, like Gator type vehicles. I'm guessing he can probably get out there with one of those it's like a golf cart, but a 4-wheel driver.
Yeah, it's pretty bad out there. Like, the last mutilation, we had to walk into it. And matter of fact, that was the same way it was. Well, the last one we had that wasn't on Tom's property. It was another property, another ranch owner that had one, and they called me on it. And you couldn't even, like I said, you had to park and walk in about 200 yards to get to it. No one knows. And that one was a lot different. That one, there was blood. And that's when we found out. That's when Mama Sue said that she got from Fitz that this is not our work. This is the work from another alien tribe. And Mama Sue got that they were a reptilian tribe. And she said that they hate you, Greg. They don't like you at all, and they're going to make sure that your computer doesn't work anymore, and you're going to make sure your Jeep you can't use your Jeep anymore, and I already lost a body camera out there. On the first day that I went out there to investigate, my body camera stopped working, and then both of my computers went down on a touch. And then when I took one of the computers, my desktop, I took it to um,
The cowboy.
Computer Cowboy,
We
and
love the computer cowboy, by the way.
yeah, man, and he is, he said that he couldn't charge me for how much effort the work he's put into it, but this is what he's going to charge me. He said you had NSA type encryption on your computer that took me a long time to get through, and I'm like, encryption has to be put there, and NSA type encryption. I mean, really? And then the night that we had that great night out at the ranch, my SLS camera stopped working, and it fried, and I can't get it to work again.
And we dismantled that back at the house.
Yeah,
And it looked like someone went in there and like removed a component from, or disconnected it in some way.
it looked like a wire disconnected, but I reconnected that wire and it didn't fix it. And
that was a strange night. And that was a very, very strange night at the house, with Mama Sue being attacked by an entity. Dan previously felt something was trying to touch him in that house at the same time. So we did a full blown try to like communicate an investigation. And I have that EVP, or it's not an EVP, it's the ITC device that we were using, where I swear, and it's in the documentary, but I swear after you say, "Who is this?"
They said, "Oh my."
Well, I hear Marie. I hear the name.
Oh yeah.
And it's, it's one of those things where that's a whole nother documentary, trying to break down all the footage and go through all the different messages that may have been received in that session. And I was like, okay, that was part of the time where I'm like, oh, this could be another 30 minutes onto the movie. We have to stop, because then, once we examine what the messages are, the things that are happening there, then we want to get context and, have to re-interview and things like that. But just for people paying attention, who are kind of, because it's been, going on 5 years. So we don't expect you to remember all the details of this story. And we believe that fits Friends in the Sky, the Investigation Mutilation Ranch, which will be available to stream at some point later in the year for everybody. And we just have to figure out some of those details, but we will get to that after we start doing screenings of it in theaters in different parts of the country. But it's a cattle mutilation investigation by Greg that turns into a situation where there is Oma. People may know them as Sasquatch. Turns into a missing. There's a spirit of a woman on the property that at first is assumed to be one of the 17 deaths on the 1 mile stretch of property where there's a bridge over the property. I think there was 15
I would say 16 traffic accident related deaths. Yes. But that doesn't include the spirit. She was killed somewhere else.
Which initially, the spirit, when coming in contact with the spirit, because I think this part might confuse some people, but when first coming in contact with the spirit on the property of the ranch, Mama Sue and you assume, because you had specifically gone to a section of the ranch where all these traffic related accident deaths had occurred, which is strange enough all by itself and probably warrants its own movie. A spirit is there. One, well, specifically, I think there's multiple, but or whatever Mama Sue was sensing, people, right? Things there. And then it turns out, you assume, oh, this is going to be one of the people that died in an accident here. And it turns out it's not. And that's a whole nother wild goose chase that the investigation gets sent on.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's bonkers. I mean, I had some friends of mine watch it the other night, who used to be roommates of mine. And they're super into the paranormal, and they're musicians. They loved the music. They love the way it fit, like Dan and Justin did a great job with the music to accompany the story and not overtake the story. And I want you to talk a little bit about, let me make sure, we might have to pick this up after we go on a short break, but at some point here, after we get back from the break, I want you to talk to me about why it's important, or why it was important and why it remains to be important, that the music of this documentary didn't fit into the mold of what people may be accustomed to when they are watching paranormal documentaries. So I want you to talk about that. We're gonna get into that as soon as we get back from the break. I just want to remind people that over at patreon.com/Ryan Singer, you can go and you can listen to all these interviews without ads for $3 a month. You can also watch. I implore you to watch on Spotify. All the episodes are now video on Spotify as well. I'm going to have Greg show some of the new one of the new gadgets that he got for the investigation kit, because I did that last week on an episode where I went through my kit a little bit. I want to kind of go through some of the gadgets you got, or at least that one, because that's brand new and I can't wait to see it. But we're going to be right back with Greg Feinman talking about Fitz, the investigation of Mutilation Ranch, the documentary, and how to present, preferred ways for him to want to present the evidence that he's accumulated over the years. We're going to be right back.
Morning decisions. A creamy mocha frappuccino drink? A sweet vanilla? Maybe a smooth caramel? Or that white chocolate mocha? Whichever you choose, delicious coffee awaits. Start your day with bottled Starbucks Frappuccino drinks. Pick up a bottle near you wherever you buy your groceries.
We off? 30 seconds of carefree bliss.
Oof, like wind in your hair carefree.
Oh, like using Clorox Disinfecting All-Purpose Cleaner in the home carefree.
Yes!
Like dog slobbing on the coffee table and cleaning it with Clorox Carefree?
He's on a roll now.
Spit toothpaste on the faucet?
You got it. You got it.
Peanut butter on the light switch.
Oh, spritz, spritz.
Spritz, spritz. Clorox, man. Clean feels good.
Okay, we're back.
Use as directed.
And we're back. I got Greg Feinman. Let's get into this. I want to talk about why explain to me how you wanted the music and why you wanted the music the way you wanted it.
So there's a lot of things in this investigation when it is said it's going to scare people, until they hear the whole story, they're going to get scared. And in no way do I want, because, okay, the way you edit a movie or edit anything tells the story, the way you edit it. And okay, I'm going to give you an example. You video this little girl riding a bicycle going by your street as you're just like recording, and it's a little girl riding a bicycle, and as she's riding, she kind of looks over at you, and then continues on riding, and it's just a little thing that you're not even, it's like just in the video. It's not something that you're focusing on. But that being said, you have like fun music or something like that, or kid music or whatever, and the bike rides by and if you have a good feeling and everything. But if you like edit it to where you put scary music in and you slow-mo the bicycle as she's riding by, and you slow-mo her looking at you, it's the way you edit it that could be scary.
Maybe put a filter on her face so it like changes when she looks at you, like almost like a demon child. It's the way you edit it, the way you edit it. It's the way the music sounds, because the music sets the scene. The music always sets the scene. And when you hear scary music and there's not even anything on, you're already waiting to be scared. Even though there's nothing even on the TV, you just know it's going to be scary because of the music. I don't want people afraid of Fitz. I don't want them thinking of Fitz and having any fear in their body whatsoever, because they're here for us. They're here for our benefit, and I'll tell you, they have never told me to tell people that they exist. They've never told me that they're not trying to take credit for anything. They're
they're here on God's authority, and people don't want to believe that, but God is a creator of all things, and he has put life on all different planets, and he separated us all by dimensions. All right. So we couldn't see each other, but Fitz has the master key, and they have authority. They've been given authority. It says in the Bible that we're going to be, the ones that are alive and are left are going to be getting transformed into new bodies. So here's the thing. Where are those bodies coming from? God's not going to just poof them into existence, like just all of a sudden magically wave his magic wand and all of a sudden you got these new bodies. And it's going to be an instantaneous process, or it's going to be instantaneous for the person experiencing it. They're just going to be put into this new body, but it's not an instantaneous process. Those people that get the bodies are chosen for those bodies, and they're fitted for those bodies. And, if Fitz wants to take you, you'll never know that you're being taken. Never know, unless they want you to know. And there are some people that have had, subconscious, dreams and coming out in their subconscious or whatever that might have been taken, whatever. But for the most part, if Fitz don't want you to know that you've been taken, you won't know.
What happened to your TV just now?
I don't know. In the background?
Yeah, it was on Roku City, and now it's not. I just had a weird electrical phenomena happen. If you're watching this, you understand what just happened. My light, my toe tapped the, whatchamacallit, the thing you plug a bunch of plugs into, right? That plugs in, the power strip. And so I have like this ring light plugged in on a USB into a power strip. My toe tapped it, and for some reason the light went to tap the power strip, not the thing controlling the ring light, and the light went brighter. And then around that same time, I noticed Roku City in the background on your TV in the living room back there, because I had no idea that Roku City until January was filled with visual representations of all kinds of movies. Now the TV's off.
Oh, because I think it brought up I know what it was.
Because it went Roku City and then turned to a different screen, and now it's off.
It brought up I'm going to be turning off the TV in a few seconds if you don't show me that you're watching it.
Okay, for me it was just strange that, because I noticed it in the background, because the background changed. There was like a flash of color that changed, and it was from purple to something else. That's okay. And it was at the same time my light went brighter okay. Anyway, sorry. And because you were talking about fitting, like you get fitted, which I thought was an interesting choice of words, that people will be fitted by Fitz for these bodies. So all of this that you're talking about, not wanting them to be afraid and et cetera, and, and them having the master key, we're separated by different dimensions. This goes into your vision about the music, right?
Yeah. It, I just didn't want, it's okay to have tense music on certain situations, but I just didn't want this a horror flick. People like to be scared, and you could make money off of that. But this is not about making money, and it's not about trying to, spruce it up any way, shape, or form to make people want to see it more. I mean, it is what it is. We didn't do anything, other than investigate this in a way that no one else has done before. And I'm just putting it out there. I'm saying what my findings are. That's all I'm doing. I'm not, I'm not trying to make people believe everything, because you're going to believe what you're going to believe. I don't have any gain. There's no gain for me to tell the story, because if I was going to tell a story, Ryan, like a lie, I'd make one that's believable, and
this is an unbelievable story. And I should also add that along the way, potentially almost to our detriment, as far as the people involved, we really held each other accountable trying to debunk things. And we would really challenge each other along the way on certain things, and certain things we've still never really agreed on. whether there was something that really happening there or if it was some other kind of malfunction, right? I mean, I think a really good example would be there was a scene with Mama Sue, you, and Dan, and it's Dan's first trip out to the ranch where he meets Mama Sue. I don't know, it might be night 2 or the first night or maybe the second night that he's out there, and when the search for the body begins. And I swear I heard in the editing, and I even cut it up a few times, slow-moed it, boosted the audio. I'm hearing what I believe to be is Oma making noises outside in the pitch black darkness while y'all are in the Jeep Cherokee, trying not to, freeze your hindquarters off because it was pretty cold out there. And I'm like, I got it. I've got it. This is amazing. I've got Bigfoot on, audio. We've got it, right? And Dan sees an edit of the cut and he goes, first of all, I really like what you did here with this, but that's me making that noise.
It's like, oh,
I was like,
funny.
Dude, this has happened to me twice where I thought I got Oma footage. One time video and one time audio, and I was convinced and then quickly debunked. And I'm glad it happened, right? Because we don't want to be but we could keep that stuff in there, to your point, right? I could have kept that. We could have, if we were looking to tell some story and jazz it up and make it more sexy or whatever, right? We keep that stuff in there and we just act like it's real, but we don't, right?
Remember when Mama Sue got attacked and then I got mad and I was like, I maybe challenging it. I was like, why don't you touch me? Why don't you come at me, not her? Why are you not, attacking me and her? And then you heard it, you picked it up, but you hear this EVP going, Oma. Remember that?
Yeah.
And I don't know where that footage is. I don't know if we,
it's in there. It's see, I mean, this is in there amidst all of that, right? Because I think everybody's got their cell phone out filming in different chunks of various time. Like Dan will be filming for 90 seconds, turn his camera off. He'll start filming again a few minutes later for 2 minutes, turn it off. And then I'll be filming for 5 minutes, then turn mine off. The other camera will be running. Ed is filming on his camera, on his phone for maybe, I don't know, a minute and a half, 2 minutes, right? So it's all these different camera angles happening simultaneously. And I think that whole time period is covered in some way or the other. But that was a real puzzle, putting that little section together. But it's somewhere in there because at different times, different cameras are really good and close to the ITC device, the ghost box that's being used. And then other times, the only footage we really have is a cell phone on the other side of the room where it doesn't pick up the audio as great because it's further away. And you know how cell phone microphones are. If they're not pointed toward a thing, the audio goes down dramatically or drastically. But yeah, so there's that, and then there's the orb at the end, which I still don't know. I'm still on the fence on that one. Even though I'm the one who first saw it because it was on my cell phone. And just when we were reviewing footage.
So I'll give you my take on that orb. All right. What are the odds that right during the time, right after Mama Sue was freaking out that something was coming at her, all right in that same area, and we didn't have any of this phenomenon any other time. There was no other time that we had this phenomenon except right where she was looking. You see this little, I call it an orb, that went right towards Ed, and it made a course correction and went up and over his head. Instead of going, if it would have been a lens flare, it would have went from the left to the upper right, and it would have went through his head. You would have seen it go over his, but this went up and over. And I kind of went back and forth with it, and I watched it because when I first saw it, the first time I saw it, and I looked at it right away, I'm like, that's an orb. I mean, and everyone, I felt weird that everyone else was taking days to decide if this is an orb or not, where I was just like, oh, that's an orb. I mean, yeah, that there's,
I was convinced 100% immediately upon seeing it. I'm like, look at this. We captured this thing retreating. We captured this thing retreating away from Mama Sue. Because you kind of see it come and then you see it leave. If I'm not mistaken, it comes at her and then it leaves. And it goes up and over Ed's head.
Yeah. And why didn't we have that phenomenon any other time during the filming? None of that. We never saw any other thing looking like an orb throughout the whole video. The whole time, there was no other thing looking like an orb. Nothing except that right where she was looking. And so I believe it's an orb. I truly believe it's an orb, 100%.
But I think this discussion highlights kind of what we're talking about here or what you brought up. We're not just first of all, nothing's manufactured. Second of all, we're not just taking anything that could be, or let me say it this way. We're not taking everything that could be anything and calling it evidence. Right.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
Because if, and someone might argue, well, any paranormal thing is manufactured because you're setting out to capture it. And so there's a manufacturing component because you're setting up a trap or you're setting up an environment to capture something where it normally didn't exist outside of just your natural senses. And that's fine. And, we're not going to nitpick this whole thing, right? From the opposite point of view. But we're not taking everything that could be anything and claiming that it's evidence. And I'm not saying other people do that because I don't know. I'm not there with them or in the editing room later or when things are happening. But we wanted to make sure that we didn't do that. I mean, because I'm sure we could be potentially, I don't know. There's a lot of hardcore skeptics out there who think this is all woo-woo stuff. And, they'll probably say, oh, they created that. And who cares? Who knows if they will? But I think everyone, specifically the three of you, because I mean, basically it's you, Mama Sue, and Dan, who are at the heart of this documentary. And I think everyone understands pretty early on and pretty quickly how sincere and genuine you are about what's happening and the investigation that you've undertaken. And I can't wait for people to see that when they're able to see it. And, at some point this year. And I think that really comes through because what you're talking about and for people who don't know, Greg started this investigation simply because he wasn't able to investigate it properly previously. Give me a brief recap on that for people, just to remind them if they've heard it and maybe it's been a while, or if they're new to hearing about you in the investigation of the cattle mutilations at what we're calling Mutilation Ranch.
Okay. Like you want my first experience,
Well, tell me about when you were still, working in law enforcement.
Yeah. Okay. So, I remember the first one. I walked in to the office, and my sergeant's like, "Hey, we got to go. We got to call." I said, "Okay." He goes, "Yeah, we got a cattle mutilation." And I went to make a little ooh, kind of little joke, kind of. He's like, "Ooh, don't joke about it, Greg. Sheriff takes it really seriously, so don't joke about it." And I really wasn't joking. I just was like, "Ooh, we gotta," and he thought I was probably, mocking or whatever. And so we get out there to the ranch, and we have to walk in to where the cow is. And a lot of times that's another crazy thing. You have to walk in. You can't get a vehicle to where the cow is. And I take a look at the cow, and it's well, you want to call it mutilated. It's cut up, and there ain't one drop of blood anywhere. All right, not one. And the hoof prints of the cow, its own hoof prints wasn't where it was at. Wasn't located where the cow was. Like it didn't walk to the location where it died. It didn't do any walking. It was placed there. And that there, when I started looking around, that right there got me, because I knew that cow was killed somewhere else. And how in the world did it get put where it's at right now and not have any way to show? There's no evidence to show that it was put there. Like there's no tire tracks or track marks from a tractor, a big tractor that capable of picking up a cow. And you got to remember that this is happening in the dead of night. And if you've ever had to have surgery done, you know that there's an enormous amount of light, all right, in the operating room so you can operate. And these are happening in the dead of night. And what's happening to these cows would take a human from the nighttime into the daytime hours to complete. And it would need a big, I mean, you'd need a lot of equipment. You couldn't do nothing. You can't do what's done to these cows out at the ranch on a piece of property. You can't do anything that's done to these cows. You can't do it out in the middle.
Travel bag. I'm going to bring my little travel kit with like my shaving kit and do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now I want to real quick. And I make speculations and I assume I know the answer. And I've been saying this for a while now, but I want to get clarification here officially on the record. You get a call. You're at the time you're a Los Animas Sheriff's deputy, right? Or Los Animas County.
Yeah.
Sheriff's deputy. And this is when you went on these cattle mutilation calls. And what is the reason a rancher calls him in?
Well, I think he doesn't know what else to do. You know, that his cow was killed and it's a loss of property, you know, and whoever killed it, that's a crime. It's a crime what's happening to these cows. You know, whoever's doing it, man, if someone ever got blamed for it, man, it'd be, whew, man, I mean, they'd have to, I mean, there's a lot they'd be responsible for, but it ain't people. I mean, it ain't people doing it. I can tell you that.
Okay. And, so the rancher is trying to, but he's essentially, you know, make a claim of damaged property, quote unquote, even though we know the cows are alive and, you know, and we come on and furthermore, we grow to know a lot more about them through the work of Mama Sue. So, you know, forgive us for, in this instance, declaring them as property. We know they're more than that. They're living sentient things. But for the sake of the rancher and getting law enforcement involved, they are calling to make a claim of damaged property.
Yeah.
And I've always assumed that maybe they can get some insurance money to cover the cost of the cow, things like that. And to do that, they have to have an official claim with the police or something documenting it in an official manner that, you know, shows that an investigation at least looks like it took place and documented the actual damage.
Yeah. Well, there's no insurance on cows and it's just being lost.
Oh, it is? Okay. I thought that they might be able to find some kind of financial recuperation by calling the police out there.
No, not at all.
Okay, so I'm glad we covered this.
Yeah, and what was I going to say? The sheriff's department, you know, they can only do so much even when they go out. You know, all they can do is take photos, get owner information, you know, and all of them have in the back of their mind that we ain't going to catch the suspect because it's not in our jurisdiction, so to speak.
I mean, it'd be one thing, I guess, if you could follow a lead or evidence at the scene of the crime. For example, like Jeep tracks or something like that, driving away from the mutilated body of the cow. But there's not that kind of stuff to follow.
There was one rancher that he lives up the river in the hills, and one of his cows that was killed, the exterior part of the horns of the cow had been blown off and were like, 10 yards away from the cow.
Okay, hold that thought. We got to take our last break. And when we come back, I want to hear, well, I don't know what you just said, but it sounds crazy. And we're going to be right back with Greg Feinman. We're talking about his career in law enforcement, being called out to cattle mutilation cases, which sparked his curiosity and then later led and turned into the investigation at Mutilation Ranch. Patreon.com/Ryan Singer, $3 a month, no commercials ever. Hey, be a free patron. And sometimes you don't get commercials either, because I just put up the last episode, last week's, free for any member of the Patreon, free or otherwise, without ads, if you want to, save yourself some advertisement time. We're going to be right back.
Hey guys, Have you heard of Goldbelly? It's this amazing site where they ship the most iconic, famous foods from restaurants across the country, anywhere, nationwide. I've never found a more perfect gift than food. They ship Chicago deep dish pizza, New York bagels, Maine lobster rolls, and even Ina Garten's famous cakes. So if you're looking for a gift for the food lover in your life, head to goldbelly.com and get 20% off your first order with promo code GIFT.
Chronic spontaneous urticaria, or chronic hives with no known cause. It's so unpredictable. It's like playing pinball. Itchy, red bumps start on my arm, then my back. Sometimes my legs. Hives come out of nowhere. And it comes and goes. But I just found out about a treatment option at treatmyhives.com. Take that, chronic hives. Learn more at treatmyhives.com.
Okay, I'm back with Greg Feinman of UOR Investigations. You know, the primary filmer and compiler of evidence, of footage and documents that went into making FITS, Friends in the Sky, The Investigation of Mutilation Ranch, Part 1, the documentary that will be screening in Trinidad, Colorado at Trinidad Junior College, State Junior College at the Massari Theater on June 11th at 6 p.m. There is, you can go get tickets. Go to Eventbrite, search Trinidad, look it up, and you can get tickets. And it's half off tickets for any students and also any first responders or emergency workers. Get 2 for 1 or half off tickets. So including nurses
and doctors,
doctors, paramedics, firefighters, police officers, anybody out there in that realm, and veterinarians as well.
Definitely.
So you were, before the break, you were telling me that you got called out to a cattle mutilation where the cow had the exterior of its horns blown off. Tell me.
Okay, so I didn't get called out on it. I was contacted a guy up the river that had 2 mutilations on his ranch, I believe 2. And one was in 1994. I think the other was in 1996. And I was going to go up and this is before I got in contact with Tom Miller. And we couldn't ever get, he was a teacher and we could never get our schedules to match, to be able to get out there. But he told me the last one that he had, that the cow's horns, there's an interior part of the horn and an exterior part of the horn, on the way the horn is. All right. And the exterior part of the horns, both horns had been removed. All right. And from what I understand, just my little investigation into that, the only way that could have been done was from a high amount of heat that caused the horns to blow off, because there's an interior part of the horn. And like I said, the exterior part of the horns were just completely blown off. So and like the only way that could be done is high amount of heat. And,
it's just another unexplainable thing that can happen.
And it's I call that an Easter egg. An Easter egg is one of those things that at the mutilation site, you're going to find something that's like, what the heck? Like when I found that bone. Well, actually, I didn't find it. Tom Miller found it. He went about 10 yards and was like, I found something, and take a look at it. And it just happened to be the unformed pelvis bone of a fetus, of a cow's fetus, that hadn't been completely formed yet. And that was the only thing left of the fetus, was just that bone. And everything else was gone. And that's an Easter egg. That's a, what the heck? Why would they, why was that left of all things? And it was just sitting perfectly like 10 yards from the cow. Not even that,
Yeah, it's wild. And I'm excited for people to see that footage, because we've got that and got the subsequent footage of you trying to get confirmation about what it was, and et cetera, et cetera.
I'll tell you what makes me laugh in this thing is the scene where we flipped the cow over and it like rolls over like a potato chip. And I'm like, oh, it's been a while. And he's like, yeah, probably more than a month.
Yeah. And it's crisp. It's crisp and dried out. It's almost like it's dehydrated.
Oh yeah,
it's like completely dehydrated from like some kind of device, right? And
well, it dehydrated. All that was left was the skeleton and the hide, and
no moisture whatsoever.
And it had to have been at least 3 months. All right, because that's when he put him back there to that back part of the property. And of course, I recorded or I took photos of pretty much 95% of his cows, but there was a few that he didn't have in there. And the one that got killed was one I didn't have a photo of. You know,
this is that thing that we're talking about. I mean, like this doesn't technically fall into technological malfunction, but it might as well. And as far as I'm concerned,
they were well aware of me. If
there's a loophole, it'll find it, right?
Yeah. When I went out there, I was trying to be sneaky. I was trying to be like, we're going to find out. We're going to do this little investigation, and they're not going to know. And I'm going to,
with that.
Yeah, I'm going to like go out there, and I'm going to shine a black light on a cow and immediately find a marking, and then I'm going to test it, and it's going to be like, it's going to test radioactive, and I mean, I had all these ideas what's going to happen, and now, I was wrong on who's marking the cows. All right, and I thought that it was Fitz marking the cows, and if they're going to mark them, they're going to leave trace radiation behind, and then I would test them, and then we'd watch them and everything, and then Mama Sue tells me like a week into the investigation, hey, Greg, the ones responsible for the cattle mutilations, well, they're well aware of you and your little investigation into the cattle mutilations, and if you ever feel like you're being watched, it's because you are, and that's when I tell the story of the lightning strike, because that was when I felt like I was being watched. And I just
it was right on cue. And now we're going to leave some of these as little cliffhangers for people. We're not going to get too into some of it, but they can go back and listen to the stories as well on the previous appearances that you've been on here telling the story over the years. I want to wrap up by talking about just a refresh, because we're going to be fingers crossed. We are going to be camping out on the property again. We've only done one night there ever, where it was like a proper camp out on purpose to skywatch specifically kind of thing. Right. And that night was bonkers. And I've talked about it ad nauseum on the show to people. So you can go back and you can listen to the previous episodes. I'm sure there's a 30-year bonus where I probably spent an hour talking about the hundreds of lights that we saw that night. On two different occasions. But I got to say, when we are preparing for this potential, nothing's confirmed yet, this next camp out on Mutilation Ranch for potentially 2 nights. As the lead investigator of this investigation that's been going on 7+ years, what is your hope and or what objectives are you going into these nights with? Just so people can maybe get a tease about something that we're hoping to uncover and or capture that is unfolding on the ranch.
Okay, first I can tell you that it ain't the same without Mama Sue. All right, you made a comment that I was like, man, it sucked that we went out there and we didn't get much. The EMF meter only went off a little bit. And, we didn't get much. And you said, well, maybe there is a lot going on, but Mama Sue ain't here. Without that, that's so things are different, without Mama Sue going out there. And to be honest with you, I think Mama Sue going out to the ranch is a pipe dream anymore. She's pretty sick. I mean, I don't think she's got too much longer, but that being said, the reason I'm going out there is I need to finish up the second documentary, the editing of it. And I really haven't, I've kind of messed around with some stuff, but I can't really start the editing until I get certain videos done. So I want to go out there to do that. But also, I just want to go out there and see what experiences I have and try to communicate with Fitz like I have been, because Mama Sue's job, she believes was to introduce me to Fitz and teach me how to talk to Fitz, you know, and converse with them back and forth telepathically and everything. And I'm going out there. You don't need to go out to talk to them telepathically. You can do it anywhere, but it's more formal to do it out there. And they like when we go out there. And I like having interaction with Oma. I want to go out there more often to give them apples, because we haven't done that in a while. And if we're on the property, I don't think they'll come. Even if we put the apples there, I don't think they'll come. They're just, we asked one time if we could meet one time, and they say, yeah, they just don't do that. They don't do that.
Yeah, they don't have any like Dayton Peace Accords, or there's no like formalized NATO meeting. I'm curious about, I'll tell you what I'm hoping. I'm 100% hoping to, do a better job and have a better camera of capturing what I could only hope to be, even if it's a shadow of the experience that we had that first night. It was so overwhelming, and it was for so long with all the lights dancing in the sky. I'd love to show people even a taste of that, even a glimpse of that.
What I thought was crazy out of that thing was, and I'm not saying it just because it was me that was involved in it, but when nothing was going on, and I said, well, let me go into the tent. I'm going to meditate and call out and, see what I get. So I went in, to the tent, and I sit down and I kind of get comfortable on the tent floor and start meditating. And I start calling out to him. And all of a sudden you're like, Greg, you got to get out here. Hurry.
You couldn't get out there fast enough. And I was yelling at you. I was getting mad at you, quite frankly, because you weren't getting out of the tent quick enough. You could probably hear it in my voice where I'm like, Greg, you need to get out here
right now.
Yeah. I was worried you were going to miss it. And I was like, you can't miss this. And,
but it's just
there's no coincidence. It's no coincidence that of the timeline here. There's no coincidence that was the case of the events that unfolded.
That was contact that night. What we had was contact.
It was overwhelming. I slept for maybe 45 minutes before Tom came out the next morning. And and then we started doing a little bit of a grid search, a very mini kind of grid search. But then it started raining. I am so excited to potentially have a much better, system set up for capture, knowing very well. I think I told this to you. I think I said, and this was me being probably overwhelmed in the moment because I was still riding the high of everything we'd witnessed that night. But I think I even said, I guarantee you'll catch this every night. You come out here 365 nights in a row and you'll get the same exact thing. I guarantee it. That's how overwhelming and powerful it was, that to the point where I'm like, this is so powerful and overwhelming that this must just be happening constantly.
Well, this proves that I've got a relationship with them. Mama Sue said that they came out for my benefit that night, for me. I'm not saying, well, and I'm sure for you too, but it was, for our experience, they did that for us and they did that for me and Mama Sue, and so I call out, I start calling out a couple of days before I head out to the ranch, and I get apples and I start, preparing them, cleaning them and everything. And Oma, they know when I get apples, they know when I'm getting them, they know when I'm cleaning them. They get excited. They get excited to know that I'm coming out to the ranch, that me and Mama Sue were headed out to the ranch. They would, they would get excited. And, and we haven't been able to get out there in a while. And, unfortunately, that's part of the reason why we didn't get anything from the spirit, is I think she's mad at us and we haven't been out there, and that she thinks that we think she's a form of entertainment, that she's supposed to be the monkey jumping through hoops and everything while we go out there, having her make all of our equipment go off. And that's not the case at all. That's not the case at all. We're concerned for her. We want to know that she's okay. In the situation she's in, we want to know that she's still there. Everything that we're doing out there is for her. for the most part. When we're going out there, we're looking for, a piece of jewelry. It's a needle in the proverbial haystack, looking for this piece of jewelry. And I bought a metal detector and everything just to do it. I've had to buy equipment just to try to prove that Monica's body was still there.
Well, show me real quick, because we got to wrap this up now. Speaking of equipment, and oh, by the way, if you come to the screening or the world premiere screening, it is potentially highly likely that we may have new information to tell you about, maybe in the Q&A afterward, if in fact we are camping out there for a couple nights, depending on how schedules play out and things like that. Who knows? There's a chance that there may be some new info for everybody as well, or new experience to share. But show me some of the show me that one piece of gear you got and tell me what it is.
Yeah. So this just came in. This here, I don't know if you can see it too well.
Yeah, I can see it. Great.
Right. This is a night vision binocular, is what this is, and it records in 4K, and it takes 16 megapixel pictures, and it records day or night.
Does it do video or just photos?
Video and photos.
Oh, great.
4K. So it's just another different way to film, and at a distance, because these will pick up some light something up at 100 yards in complete black darkness. So, and this one here, I mean, I looked at a couple different ones, and I chose this one because I like the fact that it had a manual focus. And if you've had any experience with cameras and you're doing anything night vision wise, and you have an autofocus, it's just constantly trying to focus, but if you have manual focus, you can get it right in, dial it right in, and you're good. But yeah, this night vision binoculars, man, and then I bought a infrared torch. It's like a flashlight. It comes in tomorrow, but it's a big flashlight, a big one.
It'll help light up for the night vision.
Yeah,
anything night vision. It'll help light it up.
Your infrared camera is only as good as the infrared light that's on it. It's only going to video what the infrared light, and on a camera, the infrared light's kind of small. So what I did is I got this big old huge torch that I can mount on like a camera mount, and get some better footage. Get some.
I've got a mini version of one of those. I'll have to make sure all my gear is charged up and ready to go with backup batteries, because I'm excited, because I'll be like fully prepared this time with my gear as well, and really excited about it.
Well, and that being said, when last time we went out, I had to borrow all your camping gear. So it
was mostly Agnes who had all the gear.
Yeah. And, but I got to sleep on your mattress, and so I was like, next time I come out here, man, I'm going to be set up. I'm not going to have to borrow everyone's stuff, because I want to come out here, by myself sometimes and everything.
And no veggie hot dogs this time, I promise.
Oh, man. Yeah. No veggie hot dogs.
Well, I mean, you're mostly a vegetarian, right, Craig?
I am a vegetarian.
Yeah. Right. So, we're like, we're going to be camping out. We got to have hot dogs, but we're not going to eat the hot dog. So we got the veggie hot dogs. They just won't, at least on a stick or a spear, they won't cook the same way at a campfire.
Well, not just that, but like they weren't really hot. They didn't really
they didn't get hot.
And they were just like they were pretty special. But I bought some.
They were pretty special. That's the nicest way anyone's ever mentioned the awful tasting veggie hot dogs that we tried to bonfire cook.
Oh, nastiness, man! It just I bought some freeze-dried camping food this time, but I bought pots and pans and a lot of little pop-up sinks, so I can clean the pot, so I can put in, like if you're going to make chili in a pot, you can't make it the next day without cleaning the pot. I
I think we'll have. I think we're going to try to give ourselves a day before we go out there, right? So we can. I think what we should do is we should hit the store and prepare a bunch of like sandwiches and food and things like that for us. And so
we
don't necessarily have to live off of the bunker.
No,
freeze dried meals necessarily.
No, I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna bring out. I even bought a coffee pot.
That is crucial to the success of this mission. I will have to tell you, this is probably the most crucial aspect is the availability of coffee. Yeah, well, Greg, I can't wait to see you soon, buddy. I can't wait to show people this movie or for people to see it. So and shout out to Eli DeBono over at the radio station for also being a part of this and helping share the story on the radio there in Trinidad and surrounding areas. And I'm almost certain we'll be seeing him that night, right? On the night of the premiere.
Oh yeah. And
okay.
Like I said, I got to make sure Tom's there and everything. And matter of fact, I'm going to see if he wants to be part of the Q&A.
100%. I think it should just be. I mean, honestly, I think it should just be you and Tom on the Q&A. I mean, I think people would love that, and if they see the movie, they'll understand why I'm saying that. But I think Eli would be a great MC of the Q&A if he'd be willing to do it. And I really hope we can get Tom out there. That'd be fantastic. I don't know why I didn't think about that, but yeah. So again, June 11th, Masari Theater, Trinidad State Junior College, 6 p.m. $10 tickets, $5 if you are a student and or first responder, emergency or medical worker. Come on out and.
Do note that the actual price for the ticket is $12.51 because there's a $2.51 service charge on it.
So you should, and if you're listening to this and you're a student, type in the word student into the promo code. That'll get you the half price. And if you are emergency worker, hospital worker, caretaker, first responder, please type in friends into the promo code. Your promo code is friend.
Friend or friends?
I believe it's you know what? That's a good.
I think it's friend. I think that
friend. Friend. Yeah, it'll be friend. So type in friend because you are, it's named friend is, friends in the sky fits. So just type in friend because you are one of the friends. You are a friend. So so friend and student are the promo codes for those people. And please bring, photo ID for validation of discount ticket, to the theater with you. That would be much appreciated. And no stolen valor here.
And so sorry, folks. No, I guess there's no drinks or food allowed in the theater, I guess. But, because we were going to have try to have like a little stand, where people have some popcorn or something. But yeah, no,
because it's like a theater inside of a university.
It's
school, not like a movie theater. So, but it'll be great. And I think people can handle that. People can handle, an hour and 45 minutes without drinking soda or eating candy. So, it'll be great. Well, Greg, remind everybody the name of your YouTube channel again.
UOR Investigations.
So find that on YouTube. You can see all kinds of videos Greg's posted over there over the years of the investigation and other investigations.
That's weird that you say that, over the years.
Right? I mean, believe it, right? I can't believe it either.
Because, man, it just feels like this was yesterday that this started.
It really does. It feels like yesterday we were out there for a week. And what was that, January 2023?
I think it was 2023
when we were filming the sit-down interviews and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So about a year and a half later, here we are.
Man,
that seems about right, actually, for considering how much footage this documentary had. About a year and a half for it to be put together.
Like you did one heck of a job, Ryan. This wouldn't have been possible without you doing this.
Well, I was going to end the interview, but let's keep going. No, I'm just kidding. Well, Greg, it was my pleasure. I can't wait for people to see it. It's a real passion project for every single person that's involved, and it'll be streaming for you somewhere at some point soon, because I know not everybody in the world can make it to Trinidad, Colorado on June 11th. So I look forward. We'll obviously be sharing that the second and even before to make sure people are aware of that. But again, Greg, I'll be seeing you in about a week and a half or 2 weeks.
Yeah, couple weeks.
Yeah. Oh, well, I guess a week and a half or no, 2 weeks from now. Whatever it is. Yeah, 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. And we'll get to it. And then, the next phase of the investigation is underway.
Yes.
But yeah, thanks again, buddy. I appreciate you.
Love being here.
And until next time. And everybody listening, RyanSingerComedy.com. That's got everything you might need to know. And if I don't see you at a live show this summer or at the screening of Fitz on June 11th in Trinidad, the Masari Theater, I will see you at the watering hole on the astral plane.